Alright, so to change the spark plugs on a 2011 Subaru Forester without jacking up the engine, I ordered this thin wall 14mm swivel socket from Amazon for under $16. Standard 10mm wrench, 3/8 drive, 3/8 inch extension, and a 3/8 swivel, 10mm socket for everything except the spark plugs, and actually this is a 5/16 nut driver that I use to take off the air cleaner assembly hose clamp, and a headlamp, magnetic tray so as to not lose nuts and bolts. Okay, so to start with, I remove the battery, 10mm wrench to remove the battery holder, and the battery cables, pull the battery out completely. Down inside on the driver's side of the engine is a 10mm bolt that holds in the I don't know what it's called, the piece that connects to the spark plug. That gets pulled out, and then the 14mm wrench is used for the spark plug. Behind that is the second one, identical setup, a little bit harder to get to and a little harder to reach, but again accessible once the battery is removed. For the passenger side, you have to remove your air cleaner assembly. I took everything apart from here to here, and that involves, down inside here there's a 10mm bolt, a 10mm nut, and this was the 5/16 hose clamp fitting, and then the whole thing pops out. You do have to disconnect this little cable here. You push down and pull away to unclip it, put it back on. And then once you pull out the air cleaner assembly, you'll see the mirror image of the driver's side with the 10mm bolts holding in the spark plug boots, and then the 14mm plug wrench. So there's not a lot of room. In fact, there's almost none, but it will fit. And then that is bolted back on with a 10mm bolt. Again, zero clearance for tools, but it's just enough to get the socket in there. Tighten down finger tight, and then a wrench on it. Oh, not that one. Okay, for this one you did need a tool. You needed the, I don't know what it's called.
Swivel socket.
Yep. Oh. And extension. Okay, this other spark plug's already in place. They're much easier to get to. Alright, so to get to the spark plugs on the passenger side, you have to remove the air filter housing. So now we have to get to another 10mm.
Probably.
Oh yeah. That'll make a difference. Huge difference. Right.
Hey guys, what's going on? Great Square here. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and you learned a little something from it. I know I sure did. The main reason we made this is because we tried to figure out how to get to these spark plugs, and some of these YouTube videos we saw showed guys, trying to jack the engine up 2 inches out of the chassis to get to the spark plugs, and that just seemed crazy. And we figured there had to be a better way, so my dad got a $15 socket swivel spark plug thing, 14mm with a magnetic head off of Amazon. And yeah, it was a little difficult. I'm not saying that this is easy, all right, but this is going to save you a good bit of money. I mean, it might take you an hour or two tops, depending on how handy you are, and if you've got nice, delicate hands that can get in between some of these plastic shields. But if you try to take this to a dealership to do this, they're going to want to charge you anywhere between $350 to $600, depending on the make of your vehicle. And so, like I said, it's not difficult to do, it's not easy to do, but it's going to save you a good deal of money. $15 tool versus $400 or $500 at the dealership. You take your pick. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you do, like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. We try to get back to everybody. 100% feedback, that's the goal. So you guys take it easy.